Hello, baby Cristina-Buena. This video is for you. I'm going to make the most of our situation and I'm going to try practice speaking because I don't really have the opportunity to speak up in English and to deeply analyze my life and everything, and I think this is going to make my English improve and for you is going to make you you know to make you understand me a little bit better, hopefully, and I don't know, maybe we can plan together some sort of trip or something to get closer. I'd like to see you again, that's for sure. Honestly, with girls, I am very hesitant because, I'm 41 years old, I've got a son. This last girl is being like a fucking stormy girl all the time. Like, at first was beautiful, like everything was lovely. She was taking care of me, she was like looking at me like if I were someone very special to her. But suddenly that changed completely and I became her worst, thought or something like that. And I was treated like if I were a piece of shit. And honestly, I think I probably don't behave very as a centered man, like as a balanced, centered, very masculine man, which is the type of man that I am like trying to become somehow, and I feel that I am, I feel that I am a protective, supportive, masculine, and very, like seeking for truth and for good. That's the kind of man I really admire. The men I most admire right now are fighters. Khabib Nurmagomedov, this Russian fighter, his mindset, his achievements, his strength. I admire that man a lot. I also admire people who speak without like any like barriers, any masks, like without fear, without completely honestly, like people who are very integrate. That's what I'd like to become. I don't feel like that. Honestly, I feel my shadow is still playing tricks with my mind. I realize that I am not a perfect man. I'd like to be the best version of myself. I think it is not just something I should do, but something that could, change everything in a way that I wouldn't even imagine that is possible. I feel that deep inside of me, I look at Jesus Christ there in the cross because I am begging him I'm praying him for helping me to extract this no fear version of me and just do what is right, and and calmly, I don't need to rush. Everything is inside me. I try to understand these teachings, I try to live this truth, but I look around and I see all these wars. I see that I am not free to see my son whenever I want. I am banned for trying to get some money from my apartments. Tourists in tourism. This country is fucked up. everything is corrupt. I am in a lawsuit process, at risk of being imprisoned when I am clearly innocent. I am not telling you this because I need support or something. No, it's fucking clear. It's so fucking clear that I am innocent. If you see the testimony of those witnesses that she has, they all contradict each other. It is also bullshit, it is, this was, look, I'm going to tell you the whole story and my perspective of it, truly, honestly, what I believe that has happened. I've already told you somehow, but not with all the details. So you can see I am a handsome man, I am not like typical guy that needs to beg for sex. This is quite evident, I think. I've never had any trouble. In fact, I am a stoic man. I am someone who tries to avoid temptation. I am very sex driven. I feel that inside of me, but I don't feel sex is very like healthy. Is quite is healthy if it is balanced, and if it is directed, it is the I don't know. It's like food, You can eat healthy or you can eat in a crappy way and unhealthy. For me, sex is the same, and it's not for me. It is the truth. I know this truth, so I am not a predator. Like if a woman tells me she doesn't want sex, I am not going to lie. Okay, I am not going to, she doesn't want sex, I have to force this situation because I am, my animal inside needs to, no. I can go home, wank, and or even I can just forget, okay, you don't want sex, it's okay, In fact, I've lost my virginity very late, not because I couldn't do it, because I was looking for love, So it is quite funny, because I've always been a man that tries to do everything right in this field. Also, when I was very young, I lost virginity very, very late. And not because I wasn't confused about my sexual orientation or because I had no opportunities, but because I wanted something deep connection. And I waited. And I realized after that people were having a wrong interpretation of myself. Some people confused me to be weak or to be I don't know, like too soft or too good or something like that, because I was that kind of man, and I don't want people to misinterpret it. I can be very aggressive, I can be very, very direct, very straightforward. I have no fear, If I try to do things good, it's for myself, not because I am scared. I am also scared somehow, but not in the way people think. If I am scared, people are 4 or 5 levels more scared than me. I can tell you that, at least in my surrounding area, and I can feel that. I have my own fears, but my fears are related to God and to destiny, not to people that can make me, feel inferior or something. So that's one thing. I feel quite aggressive because, I think close people have tried to take advantage of me because I am quite naive also somehow, too honest also somehow. I don't think there is a too honest, but in this country you have to be careful with who you talk, with what kind of stuff you talk and who. Overall, if you are a man like me, that I own a beautiful house, I have potential to do anything I want, I believe that. I really believe Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I really believe that. I really believe that. But you have to have faith in yourself. And I've lost a little bit faith in myself. And why is that? Well, first of all, because nobody in my family has ever believed in me. Not my mother. My mother was kind of like, she was ill. She was mentally broken. She had a lot of issues related to money. With my father was very suffering a lot. My father was not a good man. He was all the time partying, drinking, doing drugs. My father was a fucking idiot, and still is. He still is. He lies to himself. He's the kind of man that I would never like to become. And some people says that I have to integrate that part of myself because what I see in my father is inside of me, but I cannot integrate it. So unless I integrate him in myself, I cannot forgive him because I have to forgive myself through him. That's the kind of lesson that I have learned from my mentorship. And well, I can see some aspects of that are probably true, but it takes away all responsibility from him, and I don't like this also because he's responsible. He's done a lot of bad things. I am not someone to judge him, but our family was broken because of him. And I feel quite abandoned, My mother didn't really want to be a mother. I've always been blamed for becoming her biggest charge, her biggest heavyweight. Myself, I am innocent, You did the fucking sex with my father. I came, I'm just here. But for her, I was to be blamed because she was a beautiful woman that could have become very successful in whatever she had. Like, I've always felt like kind of her biggest problem instead of her biggest blessing that I should be, I see my son now, and yeah, it's a responsibility, it's something that is going to change your life. And if you have not help, I can understand a little bit my mother. I've always felt that she was right, I was biggest problem, and everything became like a hell because of the situation. She was very young with 2 kids and my father didn't help. All right, this is something that happened. My house was a little bit messy, because my mother was very, she was taking care of the house, she was clean, she was all that, she feed us properly with healthy food. But when I was a kid, I had the most problematic friends that I could find in the street. My friends were all the biggest potential criminals of town. When I was just 10 years old, we took our mother's car, we steal our mother's car and go crazy. I wasn't driving, my friend was. But I did many crazy stuff when I was a kid. I steal lots of things. We weren't living in that house. We rented and moved to the town. And we were having like a life. My mother was all the time arguing, fighting with my father. And my friends, I had quite a lot of friends, and they were all very, very, very problematic kids. They smoked in front of my mother. They were like, some of them were 11, 12, another was 14. But kids like, these kind of kids that are very problematic. I was very problematic. I was involved in fights all day. All day. I was involved in fights all day. In school, at school, uh, I wasn't a good pupil, a good student. I wasn't. I became after when I was 13 years old. My mother kicked me out of her house, and I was living with my father. And because my father was also a mess, I finally was living with my grandma, with the mother of my father. And then I started to study, and then I discovered my mind. My mind is I am intelligent, I am a smart guy. I started to study, and I became one of the best students in my class. So from being the worst student to becoming the best in a very short time. I also get fit. I was fat when I was a kid, and I became very fit, very fitness oriented guy. I was doing abs, push-ups every day, squats very fast, run every day. I became very, very fit. I'm very athletic. I had potential to become an athlete, and I was told that by some friends, and I could feel that. I was very, very well skilled. Any sport I did, I was quite good. I wasn't the best because I wasn't oriented for competition, but I did many sports, and at all of them I was good. At all of them. What I'm trying to tell you, I don't know. Am I bragging about myself? I don't know. I feel like I'm valued. I feel like I'm wasting my life. I feel like that. I'm not going to tell you the whole story because it's going to be very long. In short, I've had a lot of struggles. My mother finally died for cancer. She was dating a guy that was only 3 years older than me. A guy who did like he was a toxic motherfucker. He was a nice guy because he came out from like he was a drug dealer. He was a drug dealer, and he did cocaine every day. Not when he was with my mother. When he was with my mother, he was better. He was still smoking joints, but he loved my mother. I could feel that. Somehow I rejected him, but on the other part I could see that she really loved. But he was another kid, and that was a very difficult period of my life because I wanted to punch him sometimes. And well, my mother couldn't get any advice from me. I could see that my mother wasn't being good with herself. She had no self-esteem. That's why that guy was dating her. Well, and I was raised by my mother more than my father. That's why I'm a little bit not very masculine centered. I tend to talk too much. This was something that my mother did with me. I was all the time brained, washed to see the world as she did, because she wanted to transform me in something that I wasn't, and I still struggle with my shadow because of that. My mother did a very bad job raising me up. She thought that she could tell me how to be a man, and that's not a woman's woman's business, you know. You can be your best, you can support, but you cannot tell a man how to be a man. That's not your business. That's not something you know. So, and my mother thought that she could tell me how to be, you know. And that's very, 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 very stupid on her part. And I blame her sometimes, you know, because I've always been like her psychologist when I was a kid. When she had problems with my father, I was like the only guy that could talk to sometimes. Not the only one, but I was burdened with all her problems. Anyway, anyway, she's not here. I hope she's with God, with her father, that she was all the time like, oh, fucking hell. She was all the time like asking God to for help also. This could be karmic, you know, as you have told me. I feel that I am more or less very similar to my mother. She was very masculine girl, you know. At the same time, she was very beautiful and feminine in some, you know, but she was like very demanding, very bossy, very. She was in. I couldn't stand her, to be honest. It was too much of noise all the time in the house, music very loud. She was all the time like jumping and doing like I don't know, aerobics. She liked aerobics, but dancing, and she was very, very, very too much intensity, you know, very unbalanced. She needed someone to hug her and to take care of her, I think, because she couldn't do that on her own. She wasn't. She lost her father very young. Her mother was quite machist. She had three more brothers. She was the only girl in her family apart from her mother, and her mother was quite machism, yeah, machist, and she was struggling like I am, maybe more, maybe even more. Yeah, probably maybe even more. Yeah, probably a lot more because I've been able to sold part of patrimony. I am doing quite well with money. She hadn't any money. We lived in the best house, but we have very, very, very deep economic problems. I couldn't go to any university. I could have paid for my own university, you know, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't very well grown as a man, and I don't want to take any responsibility out of myself anymore. I could have done many, many things that I didn't. I did my best. I moved abroad to England when I was 23 years old, just to disconnect. I proved myself that I could live on my own, making my own income without any dependence. But I came back. After 1 year and some time, I came back and everything still looked the same. I didn't grow as much as I should. when I went first to England. I should have stayed there at least 5 years, I think, and completely disconnect from my mother. But I couldn't see that. At the time I thought I had to be back. I wanted also, you know, probably to get back to my comfort at my house. I couldn't see that. At the moment I couldn't see that. Yeah, that was a mistake. Coming back, 24 years old. I cannot, I cannot change the past. I cannot change the past. But that was a mistake. That was the biggest mistake in my life, coming back to home when I was 24. I fell in love with a girl that was Spanish, and she came back to Spain. And that was one of the main reasons why I decided to come back to Spain also. Because I wanted to see her. That was my first love. I lost virginity with her. I lost virginity very old because I wanted something profound, you know. Not because I didn't have a chance or because I had problems to. I was very clear sexually oriented when I was very, very young, you know. But at first I was fat. I could have many girls when I was teenager. Then I got very, very, very fit. I've got any girl I wanted. I could pick anyone in the beach. I was I was the most, you know, like I felt that I was looked by all women, but all girls wanted to stay with me. All girls wanted wanted to know who I am. I was taking pictures. I was taking pictures from some girls on the beach. You know, there were no mobile phones with camera at that time, but I was. I was a model also. I was a model. I represented the university, a lot of businesses, cars. I have. Well, a period of time I was very, very handsome guy. And that was when I was like 16, 17. And I felt that I was like someone very special, you know? Someone very special. And here my ego started to play tricks with me. And I was starting to fear for the future. Thing is, why did I wait so long to lose my virginity? It's because, yeah, I was looking for something, I was looking for love. I couldn't feel like these girls that were behind me were the kind I wanted. Honestly, I didn't feel like that. So that's why I reject all of them. Not because I wasn't sexually driven. I was very focused on my stuff, on my studies, on my. I wanted to become an engineer. At that time, I wanted to become a naval engineer. Is naval ships to build ships, like my grandfather. And then I after a while I became depressed. I became deeply depressed. I still did exercise, I still worked out, but I was faithless, I was sad. And why was that? Why was that? That's a good question. I don't really know. I had everything. I had the body I wanted, I had the mind I wanted, I could do anything. And then my mother was having, yeah, it was, she went to the south of Spain, and I wanted to go with her to. I didn't really want it to go with her. She. My mother, I feel that has done a very bad job with me. She wanted to keep close to me all the time, but I think she thought she was helping me somehow, but she wasn't. She was making me very codependent of her approval. Yeah, I was codependent of my mother. I went with her. I shouldn't have done. I shouldn't have gone with her to the south of Spain. I wanted to pass my exams for getting to college because I had to study Basque here, and I wasn't good at Basque, and Basque lowered my marks. So if I wanted, that was the way she sold me this idea to go with her to do the exam there, so that my marks were higher, because I hadn't to go through the Basque exam language. And somehow I wanted to stay with her. I wanted to, I love her, obviously. She was my mother, and she bought a nice house in the south with a pool, and but she was all the time also struggling with her boyfriend. I was alone in the house trying to study. I couldn't concentrate, I couldn't focus. I, I, I lost track of my objectives, and I started to feel depressed, and I started to lose faith in myself again. And after that, when I felt that my mind wasn't as powerful as I thought, because I was depressed and I couldn't focus, I couldn't study maths. I liked maths and physics and chemics a lot, but when I was depressed, I couldn't focus. I couldn't understand many of the things I was taught at school. And I started to waste my time again doing stupid stuff like daydreaming most of the time. With motorbikes, I liked motorbikes. Later I wanted to become a motorbike racing rider. I bought a beautiful bike. Well, my mother bought me a beautiful bike, a very good one. When she sold the Spanish, the south of Spain house, she bought me a very racing machine. And I felt I was Valentino Rossi. That was the guy I most admired when I was a teenager. Well, a teenager. This time I was already 17, yeah, teenager. 17, 18 years old. My motivation was only about racing, cars, motorbikes. I was a crazy driver. I can tell you, I drive and ride as a crazy motherfucker. Very crazy motherfucker. I could have died. Very crazy motherfucker. I've done many crazy stuff on the road. I can tell you that. But well, I like that, it's something that I really feel like I'd like to have a sportive car like a Porsche, and drive for in Germany, no speed limits and beautiful roads, the romantic um, the romantic road is called. You go through the most beautiful towns in Germany, and the roads are quite curvy and beautiful and well set up for racing. Many people go there with her partner and go to beautiful hotels and castles, and the road is like, I think it's 500 or 600 kilometers. Well, that's one of my dreams. You could be the girl that could accompany, could join me to this trip. That would be a beautiful thing to happen. I don't know if it's gonna be possible anything, but yeah, that could be a very good thing to happen between us. What else can I tell you about my background? Well, my family was one of the wealthiest families in Spain in 1890 to from 1890 to 1910 or something like that, to 19 the first, when the World War One broke out. The wealth of my family rised, like, because of steel industry, because of war industry, rised a lot. So at that time, not my grandfather who built the company and did the the entrepreneurship, like the vertical. He's studied in universities because it's Schumpeter. Schumpeter is an economist that studies how to build an industry, a total complex industrial, like no thing is out of the company, like the steel processing, the iron mining, the petrol and the energy, then the manufacturing, the transforming of those steel into ships, and then the selling. Everything was made under his domain. He was studied in universities. Schumpeter studies this kind of entrepreneurship model, and there are books, history books, talking about him. He was very important guy, very important guy. There is a big statue, bronze, like 5 meters high. He at the top, a lot of it's incredible. It's something that I am so proud of. I cannot even believe that he's my ancestors. It's very amazing. And his son, not him, his son, when he inherited his company, the wealth that the company could provide was amazingly bigger than when he was doing the business, because of the First World War made the company of my grandfather become like a huge company. Huge company. That's figures that you cannot even grasp what those mean. Something quite unbelievable. From one part, my mother's father was English, like kind of half Scottish, half Spanish, and the other part, my father's father, he was German. He was like, German and English has always been like kind of enemies. And my father was jealous of the wealth of my mother's family. He was jealous. He was like, he had inferiority complex, my father. And he wanted, like, I don't know. He's still jealous. He's still jealous. Even he's already died like 10 years ago, and he's already jealous. He's jealous of me. My father is jealous of me. I can feel that. He envies a lot. He's a heavy drinker, alcoholic. I call him alcoholic, but some people make the distinction. No, he's not an alcoholic. he's a heavy drinker, you know. Well, what's the fucking difference? He drinks from morning to night. He's a fucking alcoholic. There are degrees of alcoholic, I guess, but and he's a strong man. He's not like a weak parasite on the street, like a beggar. Or yeah, he could maybe the image you have of an alcoholic is someone who is lost on the street. He's not lost on the street, but he is still an alcoholic. And he's made me feel like very, very badly when I was all of my life, you know, when I was depressed and I was really thinking about, I was considering taking my life, you know, I was really considering that. And you could see in my face that I was like with, you know, my eyes was with lifeless, my expression, my skin was like quite white, and I was, well, I know I wasn't so bad because I had like times like from becoming very very low energy to becoming like motivated because of training. I was kind maybe a little bit bipolar. You know, I've heard this that bipolar men are those that their depression becomes their like fuel for then trying to become a much higher version of themselves, and they fluctuate between very low and very high. I could relate a little bit with that, but I don't really think I have bipolar. Um, I don't really think I had that, but it could be a little bit like that, you know. It could be a little bit like that, probably. I don't know. I think yes, a little bit. I could be diagnosed with bipolar um, condition. How do you say bipolar trauma? Bipolar. Yes, I think it's something like that. Well, it doesn't matter. The case is, well, it does matter. It does matter because it's important. I've already thought of myself. Maybe I am a narcissist. You know. I think my father is. I think my father is kind of a narcissist. Narcissists tends to erase, to delete all the sudden, and they get to do that in their mind. They erase completely their shadow. They are not aware of their flaws. They don't even want to see their flaws. They lie to themselves. They don't even exist for them. And this is my father. This is my father. My brother maybe is a little bit like that. I don't see him like a narcissist, but I have a tendency to be a little bit like a narcissist. I don't think I am because I question myself, and this is a trait that is not happening in a narcissistic disordered person, you know. So if you ask yourself if you are a narcissist that you could be damaged, I always ask, could I be a good person for this person, for my son, for my partner? Those questions are not asked by a narcissist about their own behavior. So I guess I am free of being one of those. And I also beg for God. They don't have a tendency to see God behind everything and ask for help. That humbleness you need, you know, sometimes for God to help you. It is not everything on your hands. Most of the world is on His hands. And at the same time, the world is telling you that you are responsible of your own reality. So what the fuck is the truth, you know? Yeah, you are your own you're responsible for your own reality, and at the same time you have to rely on God's plan. And what is that? I don't really know. My plan, I have 2 hands, 2 legs, a brain, I can do everything I want. What is my plan? I don't even have a clear plan for my life. I'm just struggling, trying to make the best decisions, but I don't really know what I know what I want. I know what I want. I want to build a successful company, live on my own terms, have splendid time with my son doing like fishing, sporting, diving, karting. I'd like to take him to the most beautiful places in the world. I'd like to have a beautiful girlfriend who I can share my life with, to travel the world, to kiss passionately, to make love all night, all day. I'd like to do those things. I'd like to stay focused on my business, to enjoy my purpose. I'd like that. I like to have a lot of money. I'd like to have a big house with a garden, like the one I've got now. I share, better said. I share a small penthouse, but I like the house to be much bigger. Not as big as that one, as my grandfather's house, but maybe half size, and then big garden and beautiful views and a big garage with at least 3 beautiful nice cars, one sportive car, one all-road car, and one family travel car, very powerful, and a motorbike, and a gym in the garden. I know what I want. I quite know what I want. But the most important thing that I want is to love myself, to make peace with my past, to change the way I see life. I'd like to change the way I see life, but I don't think this is going to happen easily, because this is a bit deep programming. I see the world is run by evil more than by God. I can see easier evil's hands on everything than God's hands on everything sometimes. But I don't know if this is the battle in my mind, no? You know, this is now actually in this moment I think God is here with me, with my vision, with my honesty, with my, with my own truth, because I'm speaking my truth. It's just the only thing I can do properly, the only thing that is in my hands, and to aim for the best in my life with my skills and with my determination, and with God's help. That's the only thing I can do with total honesty and confidence. I am blessed. I am blessed. Yes, I am blessed. Despite all the shit that I've been eating in my life, because I've eaten a lot of shit, I can tell you. I've been betrayed by my best friends, by my own family, by people who I don't even know. I have eaten up a lot of shit, I can tell you that. But I still think something good is gonna come from all this shit. And I have to turn that shit into goodness. That's my responsibility. With God's help, of course. Because without God's help, I would have no hope. And I cannot, now, I'm talking to a camera, but feeling that someone behind is caring for me, like you in this case. But I cannot be like, I tend to be like codependent of my girlfriends because I've been codependent of my mother somehow. I need to become an integrate man who doesn't need anyone, and I am aware of that. I am very aware of that. And I need a woman who, yes, cares, is independent, feminine, beautiful. It's not that I need, this is what I want, what I feel I'd like to find. But at the same time, if I find that girl, I may find that, imagine in you, I don't know if I could, I could handle you. I don't want to handle a woman. Is this enough to handle myself? And a woman, sometimes when women see, I think women, honestly, women are just tests for men. Woman is like a mirror, and women tend to test men's masculinity. That's what do you do. You don't really fall in love with men. You fall in love with the idea of a man who fill the gap, fill the woman's gap. And when that doesn't happen, you start to lose your respect. You start to become more like, I don't know. A good woman helps a man become balanced with his masculinity. But a wrong woman can ruin a woman can ruin a man's life forever. I am aware of that, and I am not the kind of guy that falls in love like stupidly. Like I'm going to do, no, I am going to do everything I can. But when I see that you are not commit, so to speak, you are not committed to me in the same way, I'm going to stop. I'm going to put distance, emotional distance first, and then I maybe even become rude sometimes. If I feel that you are not being fair, I could become like that, and I don't want that to happen. I probably have I probably no, I am sure I have to balance my masculinity, because as I have told you, I've been raised by my mother mostly. My father have never taken care of me ever. He doesn't know how to take care of himself. So imagine if he had to take care of his children. He's just a stupid motherfucker, very selfish guy. I still love him despite all, but he's my father, and I try to get on well the more I can, but sometimes I just want to punch his face. And I put what you've told me, these boundaries, so that he cannot get to break my limits. That's very difficult with him, because he's all the time trying to break those boundaries and trying to damage, because that's the way he's programmed. He feels like powerful when he can get into your mind and make you feel weak or something like that. It's very, very, very strange way of living, but I just accept his way because he's ill. He's an alcoholic, and I just want to forgive him, to forgive myself for the past, to leave the past in the past and move on. And yeah, that's all for now. I think you have a better idea of who I am with this video. Nowadays, what I've told you, I've worked in many industries. I've worked in many different jobs. That's not a very good signal, you know. Sometimes you feel that you are unstable, but I think it's made me quite unique. I've been a paper boy. I've been a commercial guide on the street, you know, on call doors, you know, talking to people on the street, trying to sell credit cards, trying to sell phone lines, insurance, houses, different kind of insurance, financial stuff. I don't remember. I don't even remember. I've been in a mechanic shop selling wheels, batteries, filters, a lot of tools. I've been driving. I've been driving like commercial driver solariums, renting solariums, big machines that weights like 35, 40 kilograms, and taking those up to the flats, like six-star buildings. I have to take those 40-kilogram stuff machines and set them up into the house and rent them. I've been in the hospitality industry, at the reception, as a waiter, as a I've done many fucking stuff. A lot of stuff. Oh, also delivery food with motorbike, Pizza Hut, in a Chinese in a Chinese food restaurant. Also, I was on the weekends. I've been like how do you say this? Barman, in a pub, like serving drinks. Also at the entrance, trying to, like a security guy, like, yeah, like security guy, checking who is allowed to get in and who is not. I've run my own business in the tourism sector. Also, I've done personal training to some people. I haven't done my way in that area because, well, I had not enough clients and I didn't know how to run my own business. But I think I could become a very good personal trainer. I've been also working as a fitness guy in many gyms, very good gyms: Metropolitan, Fitness First, Fitness Place, Bilbao Kirolak, all these like public gyms from the government. In Darbide, a local gym in my town. Well, many gyms. I've been working in many gyms as fitness instructor and personal trainer. What else? I've done many fucking stuff. I can tell you. I've done many fucking stuff. In real estate, I've worked in 3 different companies: Tecnorete, Maria Tomasa, and Engel & Volkers. I've moved to the United Kingdom 4 times, a total of nearly 4 years working in United Kingdom in different hotels as a receptionist mainly, but also as a waiter. I've been working gardening gardening for other people. I've been in the construction. I broke my finger, a tendon and the bone. I broke that with a hammer. I was a very I was a very dynamic worker, you know, very, I am a powerful guy, I can tell you. Very powerful guy. Thank God. I have very good genetics. Very good genetics. I take no fucking stuff. I'm just all natural, and I was fat when I'm 41 years old, and I can patch any 20 years old motherfucker. I feel that. I feel I have the energy of a 20-year-old guy. And because of my back pain, I couldn't get to become a fireman. But for me, it was going to be quite easy to become a fireman. I know a lot of firemen, and they are weak. For me, they are weak. I don't want to brag, but it's true. I feel my genetics are quite special. My parents were very strong. Those I'm showing you. Both of them were very strong and very genetically. Where is the? I don't find it. Well, I will show you a picture. Here I've got a very good Bible. It was in this house when I bought this house. This is a very old, very nice version of the Bible. A very special Bible. I started to read, but it's very difficult. It's the Old Testament and the New Testament, both here. But this is my father. My father is much taller than me, and he's very strong. 20 something years older. My mother just after having me, look at her abs. She was very fitness girl. I was recently born when she was like that. And this is me and my brother. This is me, my brother, my father's car, my mother, my father, and myself here. Yeah, they both are very well. I have to go to the toilet, baby. I'll catch up to you later. 1 hour. I hope you can listen all this.